If I'd gone out just 10 years ago to do my groceries, get a haircut, get a cab, buy iced tea from somewhere, any of those things would have required hard cold cash. But these days you can pay by card. Bear in mind that in the UK, all bank transactions paid with your card are free of charge, and also that you can use chip and pin systems because an overwhelming amount of cards in the UK do have them. You can guarantee a modicum of security, or you can pay with contactless. Now, I have a main card that I use that also has contactless, as a tap and go function, but my secondary card is connected to my phone, so if I ever do forget my wallet, I can just tap my phone and boom, it's charged to my secondary card. It's become that easy. So where does that leave cash? I mean, sure, there's a couple of really strong cash holdouts like hairdressing and taxis, which in depending on the place, you might not be able to pay with a card or with your phone, but even those are starting to adopt solutions like iZettle and everything else for NFC payments, meaning that these days you can buy pretty much anything using your card or your NFC enabled phone. Just the other day, I bought a burger from a van near a really nice pub. And what did I pay with? That's right, my phone. 3, 4, 5 years ago, couldn't have done that. But is everywhere like this? We'll have to look at 3 main things to figure out the state of cash and contactless, which one's best, and what's the future look like. First off, the cash network. Stupid question, but who actually uses cash? Let's look at the numbers and see what they're saying. The numbers are saying that I look stupid with these glasses? Okay, numbers, there's no need for such rudeness. Either way, cash accounts for about 42 to 45% of all retail transactions, and banknotes are no slouch either. Last year, we had the highest increase in about a decade in the number of banknotes in circulation to reach a value of about £53 billion, which is a lot. However, the value of withdrawals from ATMs has been decreasing the past couple of years at about 5% per year. And to be perfectly honest, I can imagine why banks don't want to pay those interchange fees, the amounts that they have to pay to different banks when they transfer in between them, but also Link in the UK, that's the system that manages all the ATMs, which they have about 70,000, of which some are free to use and some of them are charged, but regardless, they manage all of them. But cash is universally accepted. Sure, a 50 might not be recognized by an anxious new employee at Burger King who's afraid that you're a big shot money counterfeiter. I wish. But still, cash is legal tender and it should be accepted everywhere. So we've got a strange story here. Cash is being used more and cards are also being used more. If math still stands up from 10, 15 years ago when I was taught it, you can still only have a maximum of 100%. So if one part's increasing and another part's increasing, something must be losing out, right? And that thing that's losing out is checkbooks. Checkbooks have been going out of style faster than Rolodexes, PDAs, and Blockbuster. Why? This leads me to my second point. Costs for merchants. Cash is accepted pretty much everywhere and has no inherent cost of being transacted or being stored. Card transactions, however, whether they're debit or credit doesn't really matter, mean that merchants will get charged by banks something called interchange fees. Let me explain that. Interchange fees are when a bank has to transact with another bank. So if customers use Bank A and merchants use Bank B, Bank A will have to pay Bank B and will be using the network, the providers, the financial service providers and all that infrastructure. And that's the fee that gets charged. Now in the UK, that's 1%. So that means that merchants get charged 1% whenever they make a transaction. And actually, this is the reason why ATMs are going out of business. Banks don't want to be paying for ATMs, especially 10 ATMs on one high street, when cheaper alternatives for the banks exist. So it's quite expensive for some merchants, and this is why you might understand why they're not accepting card for smaller purchases, say under 10 euros or $10 or perhaps 30 Turkish lira, whatever have you. And then there's contactless on top of that, which is a much more recent technology, and they might need to procure that extra technology to support those payments. Which gets us to point 3. If cash is really inconvenient for customers, because, who wants to carry around banknotes and banknotes, but really cheap for merchants, but cards are really convenient and cheap for users, but inconvenient and expensive for merchants, then what is the solution? What are we going to be using moving forward? Unpopular opinion here, they'll both stick around until the back end of nowhere in the UK adopts contactless technology and you can go to some corner shop there and buy something and pay with your phone or NFC or whatever. And an entire generation has grown using cash only sporadically. We won't really see that mass adoption of contactless and card technology here in the UK, or most likely in other Western countries too. In places like China, where technologies like modem have been leapfrogged and smartphones have been adopted and become really commonplace, mobile payments are the norm, in fact. And when I went there, I felt like the odd one out for bringing cash around. I felt uncivilized when everybody else was doing mobile payments for their taxis, and I was stuck with coins and notes and stuff. But it all rests in the power of the network. If one day you try and get a cab, go to the hairdressers, buy groceries, buy takeaway food, and you really need a card, a credit card, debit card, or smartphone to pay for that, then you'll know we live in a contactless future. As always, hope you enjoyed this video. If you really liked it, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment with your opinion on the situation of contactless and cash and your experience, and if you really love this kind of content, do smash that subscribe button. See you next time. Ciao!